All righty. I will call this special meeting of the Bargersville Stormwater Utility Board to order. Please join me in a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call from my right.
John Bear.
Kent Gross. Minutes from the November 1st meeting.
I did review the minutes and didn't have any changes in that.
I looked at them here, looked good to me, lots of minutes.
Yep.
Discussion.
I move to approve the minutes from the October,
November 1st.
for the November 1st special meeting as presented.
Got a motion, I will second that motion there. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes 2-0. Into old business, first item up, Hampton football discussion.
One item, as you mentioned, is the SCRM 341-2020 at 51, guys aren't good enough. 5185 West County Road 144, which is a banned football location. They have submitted some drainage calculations as well as proposal. You received the original one as well as a revised one, I believe, this morning, and they'll let Trent report from Crossroads kind of explain what that means.
Hey, Joe, is there any way we can pull this report up on overhead here?
Maybe.
Good evening.
Good evening, Trent.
For the record, Trent Newport with Crossroad Engineers. And I think this is a project that has quite a storied history, so I'm new to the game a little bit. So I think I'd be happy to say what I know about it and what our plan is, but there might be people that have much more information about it, including you two, including Roy, that we can help. But I think everybody that came together when we met on site, the intent is to try to do some things here to mitigate some of the issues that are ongoing there, and that probably have been going on a long time. So basically what has happened more recently was the back lot was paved from gravel to asphalt. And then when they did that work, they did do a little bit of work where the path is, and it's basically on the downstream end of that. And the contractor actually took out the pipe that was there and put in a larger pipe, which probably actually brought more water quicker. Maybe not more, but it let it go through faster than what it was. And there's two pipes there, and if you look at page, it's actually the last. It's the two post-developed and pre-developed conditions. It's the map. It looks like this. If I'm going to kind of talk from that one, we've got a north basin, a middle basin, and a south basin. Basically, nothing recently has been done to the north basin. So no work has affected that in recent times. However, the north basin does have, just over time, has had some water come into that wooded area and had some erosion effect, even though none of this work has impacted that. So that was one thing we talked about. Can we do anything to kind of, while we're there, do anything about that? The middle basin, again, no work was done to it, and I don't even believe that they changed the pipe underneath the path. But what we talked about out in the field was, can we do something there to help as well while we're in the area? And then the south basin is the basin that was impacted recently by putting pavement on top of gravel that's been there for a long, long time. So because we don't treat the gravel that's been there that long different than an asphalt on a runoff coefficient, basically all the work that was done has not even impacted any of the runoff coefficients. So we're really talking about water quality and trying to address it, trying to stave off any erosion from the work we're doing, or even past the, just years of water running through there. And then I think when we talked out there, the question that you asked was, can we do anything to help the situation as far as choking back some of the water in some of these basins, just to help the situation that's been going on for a long time? So that's what we've tried to do in the last exhibit is kind of our proposed, what we plan to do. And if you look there, you can see the parking lot, and what you're seeing really is ponding. These two outlines that are kind of squiggly lines are the pondings during a 10-year storm event for those two pipes. If we change them out from an 18-inch is what they are to 8-inch pipes in both of those areas. And then the north basin, what you really don't see on here, would be there'd be a ditch, a swale that we would basically intercept the contour where it comes into the woods and cut a swale. And you can kind of see where it would come in. There's a gap in the berm off the northwest corner of it, and that's where that swale would come in. So that would all come into a forebay that would then have elevations to build up, hold back some sediment that can be cleaned out to, and then spill over into where the ditch would go. We would also we would build up the berm a little bit that is basically going along the west edge of the parking lot. And we would build up the berm a little bit as it goes over those two pipes and heads to that stone trail that kind of heads to the northwest. And we basically do that by just losing any dirt that we're gaining from digging this forebay. So the idea is, yes, so that's a really good picture to talk about all the things that we're doing there. So if I can, the sweat, do you mind?
Yeah, go ahead. Makes it a lot easier for you.
Yeah. So this swale is the one we're talking about for the north basin. Basically, the contour comes in about here. And where we saw a little bit of erosion was back through here when we walked with Roy. And we're trying to just intercept that and bring that into this. And then these are the two pipes that we switch out. And then basically with this dirt that we're creating here, we would build this on this burn that's already kind of a burn there. And then this would be built up a little bit and then die into this path here. And so this would all be from the ditch grading, and we would have, this just be some riprap, and then we would just plan to use blankets for erosion control. Now would be a really good time to get in there and do that. That depends on the contractor being able to, and it depends on our weather window. But actually, the weather right now, it's dry and it's cold, so it actually, might be a good time to get in there. We're obviously not going to get any growth. But if we put blankets down, hopefully we don't have a lot of erosion before we can get grass growth. We could still have that in the spring where you have erosion before you get grass growth, and so they'd have to come in and mess with it. But I think that would be the plan, is to try to get in there now. At some point, you're going to lose your window here, and we might not be doing this until springtime. So the bottom is number 2 stone, 6-inch depth. And then we show the pipe sizes, and then we show the riprap here on the spillway. So it's my understanding that Josh, who's with Harding, has ran this by Bantam, and they're on board with it. I didn't know if they would be here tonight or not, but they're obviously not. But they said that they're on board with it, so they said I could come and present it and try to come back with a resolution. I know Roy had some questions that I tried to answer, and be happy to try to answer if you have any others. Roy.
No, and I guess looking through it, I was pleased to see that you guys really are more or less accomplishing detention, if I'm reading this right. And some of the contours may not be 100%, but in essence, you're saying that the minimum grade, other than the swale coming in from the northwest, that's being created, everything else is going to be up above the 790, 750 kind of minimum pond elevation, you might say,
Mhm.
that would be ponding behind the forebay in essence. So that's creating, and I think that's what your numbers showed, was that really you're detaining the 10-year storm behind that. At least seemed to be like on exhibit 6, there was a little more detailed elevations.
Yeah,
There we are. I think the calcs and things that we're showing, those minimum or the maximum ponding elevation in section 4, page 5. Storm event being analyzed as a 10-year storm in both basins have a 797.45. And just by looking at the grading there on 6, it seemed like at exhibit 6, that was what was being
Yeah.
accomplished in essence. So
yeah, and that exhibit 4 shows that ponding, what it does in that 10-year storm.
yeah, I think there's a 790, 650 contours, maybe not quite accurate there on exhibit 6, but I think the gist is there that the minimum berming that's going to be done and the grading and things is at least, some of it looks like it'll be up to 798, but those are kind of raised areas, at least some the labeling of the contours they're trying.
Yeah, can you go back to that one that has all the contours on it?
I think it was 6, Joe.
Next one down, one more down. There you
Yeah, there's a 798, 38 there.
I think the top above the dimension 20, there's a 796.50 that it may not actually
Oh.
closing like that, but
Yeah,
you know,
no, it's not closing like that. It's got to go up and chase
Yeah,
itself to
chase
the north
itself.
on both sides.
right.
So,
And the
no,
swell
that
was-
was incorrect, but I think the other ones are correct.
Yeah.
It's intended to put a kind of a foot berm up there. So, yeah. And so, we will be in the, what we're showing in that 10 years, it would be ponding some on the parking lot and in that other area in the middle basin.
Yeah.
So,
I think really dropping those both down to 8s, that's similar to what my preliminary calcs were showing. I had a 7, you got 8, and dropping the northern 18-inch to an 8 is really, I think, benefiting us downstream. So I'm really in favor of that. I'd say, that really, I think, will help slow things down in the 10-year. Granted, everything above that's going to come over, but as long as it's stabilized and the erosion control is handled correctly, it's going to be a big win for us downstream. So really the only other thing is getting into the water quality side, and obviously that's a challenge all the way around. And I think what I was seeing, and the question I had was in the text, because what your numbers are showing is really a 10% holding of the water quality, whereas normally we would have 100% water quality held. The forebay is a pre-treatment part of a full system that would, so you have 10%. I'm speaking a little bit to the guys up front, but, and I already talked a bit with Kent about it, so he's heard the same thing. But we would size the forebay for a 10% hold, and then the 90% would be in whatever other main method of treatment you'd have for water quality. So, that's really what's being shown, and that is my understanding.
It is, and we just don't have we don't have really an opportunity to put in that rest of that treatment. But the thing I would argue on, or not argue, but say about the water quality is that the two larger basins in this area have sheet flow infiltration before they even get there.
Right.
Which is, I mean, most times it's what we really want if we can get it.
Yeah.
And so those two areas have a lot of overland flow. The idea for the forebay is that it's got a pool that it can settle out whatever does get in there, which mostly is going to be from the parking lot, because I think the rest of that area, all being grass or having a lot of grass sheet flow before it enters here, is really being handled by that natural water quality that's already in place and it's already well,
And
established. Yeah.
And I agree with that. It's all sodded, it's all grass, it's all parking lot, it's all it's all stabilized there. So question for you, if we go back up to that ponding that's gonna happen in front of this berm, the 2 pages up there, if you don't mind. Do we have any idea of how long this is gonna hold water and release it? You know what I'm saying there? If, for instance, I think their calculation was almost 10,000 cubic feet of water coming off of this on a 10-year rain event. We're holding 1,000 cubic feet in the forebay. I'm not sure how many cubic feet we're holding up in front of these. You know what I'm saying there? And we're using these as kind of a small detention areas there to begin with. How much capacity are we holding there and releasing, over a period of time, just to kind of go again, just to kind of knock any other sediments out, give it some settling time. I know it won't be in there for too long.
It's not going to be.
It might be for a little while.
It's not going to be days. It's going to be. I
I
don't have the time for you, but it's going to be hours, not days. It's not
Yes.
going to be minutes.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, exactly.
But with that,
I was just looking at the reports, and your pond reports don't necessarily have a time factor on it, so you don't know, but you may be getting some water quality effect
Yes.
you will.
for those
Yes.
8-inch pipes
You
just
will, and
because of that.
And we did not put a low flow into the forebay on purpose
Okay.
because the idea is to hold back the water. And so basically that water will sit in that forebay and kind of evaporate out and solidify any of this, the water quality that we
I
want.
was just kind of trying to think, you're calculating 10,000 cubic feet of water coming off this. We're capturing 1,000. We're capturing some of that up in front of that, but it's still feeding through into that 1,000 that we've already got there
Mhm.
capacity wise. I'm just trying to figure out, from a water quality standpoint, it's like I said, usually we capture 100%, get it down to what, 80 TS?
Well, the threshold
What's our threshold?
It's 80% TSS removal, and our standards say, here's your list of BMPs that are approved that meet that. And you have, about not a dozen, maybe 10 different methods of accomplishing full water quality. But that's what Trent's calcs show is that you have 10,000 CFS. I think it's what you showed. Or I should.
Yeah, we sized the forebay for all that area.
Yeah,
And I would
not
argue that
88,
we've sized it for
88
areas that we really already
is cubic feet.
have in place infiltration and established growth. So
It's really the South Basin that has 0.116 acre feet of needed water quality volume.
right.
The other two, you could say, are in essence non-contributors. I mean, unfortunately, the way our analysis works is you gotta take all of the watershed that comes into this location and you determine what's the impervious of the whole area. And that's what they've done to come up with the 10,000 cubic feet of need. But to try to put 10,000 cubic feet in here,
Yes.
or even take away the 1,000 that they're pre-treating with the 4-bay, you have 9,000 left. And you say, well, I put something in a foot deep, but that's 9,000 square feet. So I've got 100 by 90 foot area, 1 foot deep, that needs to be held between 24 and 48 hours to have water quality. And it's just, it's kind of unfeasible in some of that sense. And I think that's kind of what Trent was mentioning.
Yeah,
It's a conundrum.
I'm trying to get that in there without doing any more work above that and trying, it's like, kind of.
If this was a full
The South
development,
Basin is about half of that.
yeah,
The South Basin is about half of
that total.
right, 84 and 27, you're close to 11. So if you were to say treatment wise, maybe I'm only down to half of that. So really the 4-bay is 20% and not 10% pre-treatment. So just by example, if this was a full development, for instance, this 4-bay would go in front of the wet pond, right? And then, so then our lake is the wet pond.
Right.
You're getting a 4-bay, but the remainder really is in our lake. And that would be allowable if we had an outlet structure that worked that way. It doesn't. So in essence, that's, what's occurring. But, I understand there's mitigating issues, and this is an after the fact deal. Okay. So all I can be as a resident is say, this is, what we're seeing is not meeting a standard that is in our manual for a new development. But, okay, so that's where you guys are left with making a decision to try to move forward and get something. I'm pleased with the detention side, and I think if there's a erosion control side, you're hitting 2 out of the 3 biggies that are the issue. It's detention, erosion, and water quality. And really, it's probably erosion, detention, and water quality in that order are the biggest concerns. So the water quality, you could maybe test the water. You could say, well, we're going to test the water now, and we're going to test the water in 5 years. And there really isn't much. What's the likelihood? I'm trying to be, from the opposite side, what's the likelihood of how much drippings is going to come off parked cars in this parking lot? But to say, why do we do water quality? There's a reason why we do water quality in any development too. So there you go. I'm going to shut up and let you guys decide.
I think as far as the parking lot, it's important to recognize that this is a seasonal use, and cars are probably using that, 5 Saturdays, 6 Saturdays out of the year?
Oh, no, it's a lot more than that. Oh, yeah.
The south lot.
No,
The south lot,
yeah.
clear down the south lot.
The South Lot's during their busy time, maybe 3 months out of the year or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't live back there, but
Yeah.
I was part of Bantam for,
Yeah.
when my kid was in it. And we only parked in the south lot when it got overflowed.
I guess my point
That was
is,
only half the time.
It's still
I don't
part
think it's-
here,
I don't
I
think
admit that.
I don't think
It might be
it's
6
comparable
months.
to the Lowe's parking lot or the fire parking lot.
No, not at all.
Now,
Man.
that's the point.
No, you're absolutely right, Joe. And I think that's valid too. So,
And I do think this will provide some water quality,
Oh,
you know, in the basin itself. The fact that we didn't put a low flow in it, it's got a spot that it can settle out. You know, I think it will provide some, and again, I really think it's providing it only for the parking lot, because I don't think it's gonna get anything that comes from those other areas, because they have so much sheet flow
no,
that there
your
really
hard
is-
surface is so far away.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
negligible.
Yeah, it is, yeah, and so I think everything that you're gonna get that are sediments that need to come out of it are coming from the parking lot. And we've sized this for all three basins, and so I agree, it's intended to be part of a pond, but we don't have that luxury, and so we try to do the best we could.
So I know you got the swale capturing this other side right here,
Uh-huh.
coming water coming down through there. Is this swale going to be the high elevation on the backside right here at 797.45? Same as these other ones coming in here as well, I believe.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because what my concern would be is if you get water here, it's gonna go around the backside of it. If it's not at the same elevation, and then I'd be worried, I'd almost like to see this a little taller. Force
Yeah, that
everything
could
over this
be, I
side.
mean, that,
You know, this
with
side,
excess material, bring it up
Correct.
this way so it doesn't exit south. And that's probably part of the swale that you're,
yes, I just
Cutting
wanna
it.
make, what, if this swale's gonna have to be a little lower than that, to get it down over top of here,
yeah,
higher on the backside there, just to keep it from wrapping around on a higher, more than 10-year bend. That's all.
We're gonna take, that's probably better on that other sheet.
yeah, on six,
The
that probably a little
elevation.
bit.
We're gonna, I think there's a good opportunity to pick up that low contour up there and intercept it. We don't really show those contours, and like Roy said, this is wrong.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure.
Intercept it and bring it into here, but, whoa, and so this contour is incorrect. What we're gonna do is this is gonna get built up,
Okay,
and so it's gonna provide that berm you're talking about
all right.
between those two basins.
Yes, I just wanna make sure at an event, it's gonna wrap around the backside, it's not, you can see the flow around the back and
Yeah.
come off the backside of it there.
So you're in essence saying the trail itself is gonna be a raised berm.
Raised
Yeah, if
from-
you remember that trail,
It's
it
kinda
climbs
like
quite a
that.
bit.
Yes.
So we're gonna just dive back into it as you walk to the north.
It may have been that back in the day before,
It's kinda
you know,
washed.
eroded all that out.
I suspect it'll come up a foot or maybe even more in that area and then all basically along here and here. 'Cause again, I've told Josh that there's some just brush and stuff that needs to be hauled out.
Yes.
Everything else we wanna waste on site, just so they don't have to haul it, and we're gonna use it to build that berm.
Shouldn't
up.
be any reason to haul off.
Right.
That sounds,
So really, one last thing, you've got some riprap that's gonna be placed right here on the backside, that's, I'm assuming that this will be the natural overflow on the
Yes.
backside right
Yes.
here. Because you only got like a small strip there, now, of course, this isn't too bad slope.
Well, I think we,
4.5 foot, are you gonna bring?
I think we do actually label on one of the other sheets, rip wrapping that ditch as it goes down.
Okay,
Because I think our intent is to rip wrap it, as with whatever we regrade.
okay,
If I don't say that on there, that's the intent,
Okay.
and I'd be happy to add
because I
that.
know there's a lot of big boulders and stuff down through here.
That ditch regrading
Yes.
is intended to be rip wrap.
Okay.
At least, a few feet along
Yes.
the bottom of it, and then
Yep.
restore beyond that. And we can add that to it.
Just want to make sure that was all that, because that, to me, right now, that's where most of the sediment's coming from, is all that erosion, kind of that erosion that was off the backside of this path. And then as it was tumbling down through here, I mean, those big boulders was most of it.
yeah.
You can see the exposed earth and stuff around those big boulders and stuff, where it was kind of scouring it down through there when we had
Yeah.
the high water flow, so.
Regrading and adding and replacing the two pipes should.
Downsizing those two pipes, there's really gonna be huge.
Yes.
And then, having this detaining the 10-year storm. So, yeah, anything above the 10 is gonna come over, but shoot, as long as the regrading just is able to reestablish, that would be the only other concern, is that it is wooded. and that getting grass to grow is going to be a little bit of a challenge. But it was, erosion control blankets, it's getting proper methodology and understanding that's the goal. And that's why they're out there, is to get that fixed. That,
We're gonna be on the edge. I mean, I don't think there's gonna be a ton, but there will be some tree clearing to do this
Yeah.
work.
I think there will.
And it's all on their property.
Yep.
But, they understand that, and I think that will help to get those areas to take.
Yeah.
They'll be kind of on the edge of the wood line when we're done.
All
Right,
right.
do you know, Roy, is this a big ash tree right here?
There's one that recently fell.
Yes. Is this another big one here? It's gonna be taken down eventually. It's gonna fall on it. If it's an ash tree.
I didn't
they can
look
take it
that
down
close to
anyways.
say.
I'm just saying, if it's,
Yeah.
I think this is a big ash tree right here. And it was, when I was out there today and looking at it, it looked like it was already partially starting to die anyways. There's
Be
some limbs coming out of
surprised.
it there.
The neighbor to the north
Yes.
there he's got like half a dozen ash that are dead.
Yeah. So if that big tree comes out there, it's gonna take up,
So
it's gonna provide a lot
that'd be,
of south there, so we'll get some
I
sun.
think we're gonna have a
You should be
lot
able to
of
get some sun in that
improvement.
area now anyway, so hopefully.
Well, that's not super channelized coming out, where it's spilling over either, right?
So
No,
no,
that's,
I think
contours aren't.
once
really
they
channeled.
redo that work there, you're gonna get rid of all of the current erosion.
Yeah.
And, and with the regrading that's gonna occur and, blanketing anything that's got too steep slopes, it should really take care of that issue. I think.
So what do we need formal approval or what?
Yeah, I think that's normally joking. This is unusual, so.
It's a little unusual because it's a violation. I mean, I think, I don't know if a motion and a vote is necessary. I think consensus that this is a solution to the problem. These folks move forward with the solution, and we can report back probably in the spring.
Yeah, unless they are able to get out there and,
Yeah, if there's some free time the next few weeks, it would be ideal.
Yeah.
But name me a contractor who has free time the next few weeks.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
It's hard to come by around here.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I did mention it to him and he said it wasn't out of question, but he said he wouldn't be able to commit to it. So, but he said if the weather stays good for a few weeks, he might have the time with the right forces to get out and do this. And he really thought it would be a few days, to a week's worth of work.
To say a lot of contractors like this kind of end of season,
Yeah.
few days worth of work just to keep their guys busy right before they shut everything down.
Can't be paving right now, so.
Yeah. We're paving across.
Well, they're pushing.
We're paving this week.
Are you guys?
Contrary, we're paving.
Base.
Oh,
Only
man.
base, not-
Base, okay.
Oh, we have people scrambling for surface in the next couple of weeks.
60 degrees on Thursday.
Is it gonna be?
Yeah.
Wow. I guess, the lake actually was frozen this morning.
Yeah.
So it's,
Depends on the material. too.
as long as you're not paving with frozen subgrade, I guess.
I have a question to ask you about that after we.
Okay. Thanks, Trent, very much.
Yeah, I just think as long as we've got this capture right here, that this will be basically riprap down through your back, forming that new channel in course right there.
Yep.
I think like I said, I think, from what I originally expected, this is above and beyond what I originally expected, so, I want to reach out and say thank you for that there.
Yeah.
Thanks to Bannon for doing that, so. All righty, I'm happy with what we got here. I do have one question. Why gravel on the bottom of this? Is there any particular reason why gravel? on the
Just
bottom?
something you can clean back down to. So when you're going to take the sediment out, normally you see either a stone bottom or a concrete bottom or something you can clean to, so that like if they'll probably just be going out there with shovels and cleaning it out. So now when you hit gravel, you're down to the original bottom.
Most of the time what we see is a marker,
It'll
just
mark.
FYI, that'll have a, depth gauge on it, but that's another methodology, then.
And also, I hate when they're, sod or dirt, because they can't grow, so they're just, at least when you get down to gravel, they where you've hit the bottom, and they're a little bit more, they're a little bit less of a mosquito, issue and so forth.
Do we have is this a heavy clay area or sandy?
I couldn't tell you for sure. It's been a while since I looked at some of the.
I mean, when we built our neighborhood, which generally
Mhm.
it's all clay.
Yeah,
Is
that's
is there anything other than sandy seams through here?
Columbus Airport has the sandiest soil you'll ever, and they're an anomaly because everywhere else we work, it's all clay.
We
But
run
once
into
you
some
get-
stuff every once in a while.
You run some
It's-
seams.
It's odd,
We
but
hit a sand seam in our neighborhood, but 1 out of 31 acres, that
Yeah.
was it. So,
yeah.
You're just thinking infiltration more as it doesn't matter.
Well, if there is infiltration, it'll just help that situation out,
Right.
that's for sure, so.
All right, I think, all right, we're good to go?
Good, yeah.
We're good to go?
okay, we'll
Thank you.
make that change and then keep you posted on when they think they could be doing it.
Okay. Will do. Thank you very much. All right, any other old business there? Joe, anything else?
No old business, no new business.
Businessman, and the administrative items there now?
Yeah, we have our stormwater master plan. I did get a draft delivered by Westler late last week, which was mid last week. So that is on my plate to do a first review. We should be getting that out to the membership for at least first review by next meeting. We wouldn't expect any action on it at that point, obviously. The only other item is the update of the trench drain project, which has been completed. This was filed and approved. I had assigned Inspector Todd Wilkerson to the project. So he was out on site on the project and has given me the okay that this project is complete.
I'll have to go out there and see it.
Yeah, if you haven't been by it,
Has it been tested yet?
looks really good.
Does it look good?
Yeah.
I haven't even been
Has
out.
it rained?
It did. I didn't ask Brian if he had any issues with it, but the work quality looks just, what you'd expect. These guys have done good work for us in the past, and here they did it again.
We're,
From my visual, anyway.
our department's pretty blessed to have 2 quality inspectors with Tim Brown and Todd Wilkerson. So we're grateful to have them being able to be out on site and follow this project along with the knowledge of Roy and Brian. I think we're in pretty good shape as far as that goes.
Sounds good. Well, let's see if we got that end done
Before the snow plow.
before the snow starts
That was
falling.
the criteria,
And
right?
the snow plows
the
have
goal.
to go down through there. They got all the bolt down, right, there's a.
They are, it's interesting. I don't know if the specs changed or not, if I told you that, but the original construction plans for 3-notch had the exact same model number of the Nina grate, and which is different than the non-bolt downs. So it almost looks like, that was the 70s, but it's the exact number was on the plans. So it looks like they were supposed to be bolt down originally, if the numbers were still correct, so. But no, unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
As we move on to the claims and treasurer's report, I think the only claim we need to formally approve at this meeting would be the claim from CC&T for $56,764.40. Other items are standard monthly items, apart from invoice from legal. That was some questions from our office in regard to setting up the special meeting and notice and things like that.
So you guys are, you said your inspectors verified quantities and get things all we're up. We're good, so I'll move to approve the claims as presented.
All right, got a motion to approve claims as presented. I will second that. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion passes 2-0. All righty. What else we got? Anything else?
All you have from our office. Be happy to answer any questions.
Let's see, our next meeting is
December 27th.
December 27th.
Oh, man.
I don't know
That's harsh.
that I'm going to be here.
I'll be here.
If we need to move that meeting sooner rather than later, because there will be public hearings scheduled.
Probably need to move it somewhere, probably down in Atlanta. A couple of days after Christmas, right?
Thanks so much, Trent. Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah. That meeting's the 20th and the 21st, both evenings.
Yeah, the meeting doesn't necessarily have to be evening if daytime works. Traditionally, it's evenings with public hearings,
Correct.
but it is not a requirement to be after hours.
How many public hearings do you think we might have?
And that's, I've looked at the draft agenda for Plan Commission. 2.
Two, maybe 3,
2.
possibly.
I think 2. One sketch plan is requested to be bumped to January, so
I can meet that week before Christmas. I'm free.
I mean, if we did Monday the 20th during the day, is that possible? Like before lunchtime? Or is that too early?
do it anytime.
I'm good with that.
I can be here at 7:45 is about the earliest I can get here. Actually, that day I can get in anytime because school's on winter break. I don't have to get the oldest or the youngest to school that day. So
I'm on vacation, so I'd rather not get up at 7.
I can get you up when I go work out at 5.
There you go.
No thanks.
10 on Monday, the 20th.
Sure, 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. looks open for this room and the rest of the schedule. Sure, remind me of that, Addie, because I'll forget.
Got it. Move to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. I will second that. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. All righty, we are adjourned.